I don't know how we're gonna do this whole episode in an hour when we have about 2 hours to discuss that crazy play from Bumper.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
madness, dude.
yeah, we gotta discuss that for 2.5 hours.
I've written an essay on it last night.
Yeah. I wrote an article for the Overwatch League website, kind of like a sports science of how fast he was able to hit right mouse and then hit right mouse again.
Yeah, it's pretty sick mechanics. When I was a runner player, I could never do that.
Johnny in his prime couldn't do it.
No.
Did Johnny have a prime?
He had a prime when there were like 1,000 people who were allowed to play the game, and then once it got in the hands of everybody.
Oh, I felt really bad as well. Wolf tweeted out something about this being arguably the most May we've ever seen in a meta, and I was like, Pepe hands, no one remembers Johnny's meta.
Shakes fist at Sky.
Yeah, the May Reaper meta, man.
Yeah.
It's back.
Dude, Tavik would be unbelievable right now.
Yeah. Can't believe they didn't pick him up for the World Cup squad, dude. Like May Reaper in the World Cup. Come on, dude.
Oh, do we want to talk about the World Cup teams off the top?
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
Yeah.
Reddit is blowing up about World Cup teams. Like
no, it's just people wanting karma, dude. It's not like people are not genuinely interested to hear what some countries' rosters are. They just want
people are upvoting it.
What do you mean? Yeah.
I'm not buying it. There's something weird about it.
Something fishy going
on.
Something
fishy going on.
So we got to get Detective Bren on it. Bren, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything in the hot tub about the upvoting of World Cup? I saw Bren tweet out that he was in the hot tub chilling last night, just gaining the intel before playing.
me and Josh were.
He just sits there. He's like, "All right, guys. What do you want us to leak tomorrow? What do you guys need some help with? You got a bad teammate you want us to go in on? What do you got?
Under the bus, baby.
Yeah, we got some juice. Got some juice in the hot tub.
Yeah, but you can't throw somebody under the bus. If are you guys gonna tweet this out?
I've already retweeted.
Yeah, I retweeted.
Wait, are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we've been live.
Oh, sugar.
Yeah, there's like 8 people watching on Johnny's channel though.
Yeah, but just go. We care about the people listening.
You
to
see
the
that somebody plugged in our fantasy drafts, Josh?
Yeah.
And like measured the points, and like Sabiobi fucking shat the bed, so I'm at the bottom.
Yeah.
Sabiobi with 23 points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they've got the points from. Like, it's 1 point per elim, minus 0.5 per death, 1 point per 1,000 damage, and 1 point per 1,000 healing, which is like, okay, cool. But I don't understand how there's such an enormous difference between Moth, who has like 120 points, and Slime, who has 37. Yeah. What happened there?
Do you guys? Okay, so
it makes no sense.
So here's something interesting that came out 2 hours ago. I think we can start with this. Welcome to Plat Chat. This is episode 6. There you go, Johnny. I did your intro.
Oh no! I in my mind, we've already started. Like when I went live.
So the Overwatch League 2 hours ago announced 2020 roster construction rules.
Yeah, and I read it, and then I figured this doesn't apply to me for like 9 months, so I don't care.
Yeah, key dates: September 30th. The signing window opens for.
This is boring. Nobody cares about this.
Okay.
Well, the only thing that isn't boring about it, though, is thinking about which players are going to become free agents at the end.
Yeah, but we need to save that for the off season when we do Plat Chat in the off season. We need to have need to have like a roster extravaganza kind of.
It should all just be public. It should just be public. Everyone's contract should be public, and then people can actually discuss it. It doesn't matter. We're gonna get to the end of the season, and then we're gonna be like, "Oh, don't know actually who's a free agent anyway."
Sports contracts aren't technically public, though.
Yes, they are.
No, isn't that just journalists?
Every sports contract is public.
What, like on the official NFL website?
You want to find out how? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could.
I thought it was just like journalists leaking the details.
No, it gets reported to the league.
So it's unofficial.
The league has to approve it because of salary caps and stuff, and then they just release it.
Yeah. It's just better for the players as well, honestly, because it lets you know what your valuation is and which players are going to be on. And the players all talk to each other anyway. They all know who they're going to be free agents.
It's not like the players don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the players are like cooking up deals behind the scenes as well. They're all talking to each other.
Coaches is like, why are you asking for this much salary? Well, it's not like I don't know what my friends are making.
The pot. Yeah,
just cooking up.
Cooking it up. What
Some
are
play-
you cooking?
Oh, I can't wait for all the
Cooking it
spies
up.
that Bren can't
There.
drop.
I'm not dropping any spies. I'm cooking
Exactly.
Do we want to talk about the World Cup stuff?
Yeah. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
come
it.
on.
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. So I think Team USA announced, a lot of teams announced, it must have been like their 12-player roster
Yeah.
day the other day. So Team USA released their 12-player roster, and then I believe UK did as well.
Yeah, UK's also got a final 7, but they're doing that thing where they like leak it slowly.
Yeah.
Where by the time it gets to the 7th person, everyone's forgotten.
I saw
that it was even a
somebody
thing.
like took all the pictures and like kind of figured out who was who.
Yeah.
Team USA. So you got Muma, Super, Fact Fiction, and Space as the tanks. Interesting that they haven't decided on like one main tank. And
I will just
They're
put it out
announced.
there. It is an enormous throw if they don't put Super in the main tank position. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. If you do not put Super in that main tank position, it is the most enormous throw humanly possible
Yep,
for
I
the
agree.
USA roster.
especially
Yeah.
especially if like
even wasting your 7th slot on any other main tank is a throw.
well, it's actually
Don't
a
do it.
major it's a major throw because you could think of a team where you put out Sinatra, Dante, Sleepy, Moth. You may as well just throw like all the old Shock Boys out there. Just put Super in there, like they basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
last year's
what
Shock.
what about Super's Wrecking Ball though? He can't compete with Muma. You know?
Yes, it can. People are just, I don't know, people in their brain have the idea that Super's a Reinhardt one trick. He's only been playing Reinhardt. You give him time, he's going to learn the other heroes. It's not like when he was stuck last season.
You know
on
who I think is a
Triple T.
lock to make this team as well, in a weird
Space.
way. Well, thanks,
No,
John.
come on, Matt. Just let Sideshow go. Just let him go when he's
Yeah.
ranting, dude.
I'm
Just
done. I'm done,
oh.
Johnny.
done.
I'm done.
Where's Nero?
He dropped out.
I know he
Yeah.
did. Yeah, but like that's
That's really
disappointing. That's really disappointing that Nero dropped out. He's like one of the most
Yeah.
promising US talents
Sure,
in
but
quite
he's,
some time.
no, he's not on par with the rest, is he?
What?
I would
Who are you
say-
comparing him with? Zachary?
I almost think Corey's
Oh
a
yeah,
lock.
he's better than Zachary probably. Yeah.
Corey's almost a lock in the Widowmaker role on this
Yeah.
team.
Oh, Corey's
They're gonna have
actually
to bring
bonkers.
Corey. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna have to go.
I think so.
Corey is the new Fury to Bren, where like if Corey ends up being the best Widowmaker in the league, Bren's just gonna fucking farm that Reddit karma from
Yeah, that's
saying
true.
on the last episode how he
But
was
I
number
think
one.
KSF's pretty good as well. Like
KSF
if
is
you
pretty
wanted
good.
A very balanced roster. It might be better to run KSF over Corey because Corey's got a few picks at where he's really good and is like hit scan, but he doesn't
Yeah.
have the most flexibility, and he looked like way out of his depth on Zarya,
Yeah.
which makes me feel
And
like
it's like,
he's
how do you
not the
fit-
most skilled overall?
How do you fit like does hydration fit into this team?
I think so. I think hydration.
yeah, he has
I
to
think
be
he's your 7th though. I think you pick 3 DPS.
I think he's your 7th as well.
yeah.
You go for Super. You go for Space. You go for
Hydration solves your
Sleepy.
ball problem, right? There you go.
Yeah,
You go for
exactly.
Sleepy
Hydration
Ball.
play ball.
And I think you go. Who do you go with the DPS?
I
think
think
you
you go with
gotta
Hydration, Sinatra, and then
Dante,
probably
Sinatra.
Corey.
but then
No,
you
you're
don't
gonna
have
leave
a.
Dante out, Johnny?
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
No way.
I would go
Who do you
Dante, KSF, Hydration.
okay, I'm still thinking. This is not absolute. My picks are not absolute. I'm still thinking about it. But like, if you go with Dante, Sinatra, Hydration, who plays Widow?
No, well, that's why you don't go with that.
No, yeah, that's why you don't.
Dante,
That's why
So then you
have to
skip
skip-
KSF or Corey.
KSF
think-
plays Widow.
Do
Honestly,
you
I
go
think
with Dante instead of Sinatra, so you still get Tracer?
I think
Yeah.
you got to. As
but
harsh as
then
that sounds
Sombra?
to Sinatra, I think you sit him or
Although,
Hydration, and I'd
did you
probably
guys
sit
watch any
Sinatra.
Sinatra stream yesterday?
Yeah,
No.
he's playing a lot of Widow.
He's playing a lot of Widow.
Really?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
trying to play a lot of Widow. Like really,
The
and it
guy's
wasn't like
incredible.
one of those like streams where you just like blast music and you're just farming Twitch Prime subs. He had like no voice on, and he was.
So
just,
there you
like,
go. That's
focused
Matt's
grinding.
hot tub right there. The Twitch streams. He's out there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true.
That's my hot tub is available to the public.
Sinatra has like 5K viewers. Matt's like trying to get in Twitch messages to like connect with Sinatra. He's just like, please, here's
Yeah,
100 bits. Please read
I'm
my
on
message.
I'm on my burner in Twitch chat, just farming some bits, you know.
Yeah.
Sexy
Dropping
Susan.
the
in
bits.
Twitch.
Okay,
Yeah, just dropping
okay.
the
So
bits.
I really want to talk about the flex support role as well, because I would have probably gone with Dogman, but here we are. And
Well, actually, that
I don't
isn't
know.
as-
It's not a. It's not
I don't
like
think
a-
you're going to go Sleepy. I think they're going with Raucus. I think they're going to go with Raucus.
No, they.
And it's
can't
not.
go
That's
with
not me
Raucus.
saying. That's not me saying Raucus is better than Sleepy. I don't really know who's better, but I think that they will go with Raucus.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Nepotism.
I wouldn't call it nepotism, but it's like it's like the niche kind of like bullshit excuses, like leadership, shot calling, like that kind of stuff.
But that's why you bring Super.
Sure, but then like friendship, like I don't care. Like I'll probably go out on a limb and just guess. Okay, it's pure guessing. There's no substance to it. That Raucus is probably friends with these guys more than probably Sleepy is, and then you have better team chemistry.
I don't think so. I mean, you've got the majority of the Shock roster in there already.
Yeah, it's pretty much season 1 Shock.
Yeah, but Sleepy's not on the Shock anymore.
But he was.
But he
definitely
was.
was.
Yeah, but
he's still like really good friends with.
I used to be good at the game. I'm not anymore. Like shit changes.
True. I think the Dogman question is more interesting than the Raucous Sleepy question, personally, because Dogman hasn't made the final 12, but he's genuinely developed into a really good player.
Yeah.
And he's pretty flexible. I don't think
leaks.
Though how players
leaks.
Hot tub leaks. Number 1.
Hot tub leaks straight from the source, and I'm talking stirring it up. All right, I've been making some gumbo in the back, and we added some extra spice to that.
Gumbo's pretty good, actually.
Handing it out.
All Bren provides this show is just hot takes from the.
Here comes the leaks.
Go on then.
The Team USA, apparently, their tryouts were just ridiculous compared to every other team. Like, completely over the top, non-stop, like, just unreal. These guys had to practice so much, which is apparently part of the reason as well why Nero was, like, dropping out. He doesn't want to obviously play for Guangzhou, and also he's trying. It's essentially like playing for a second team already in the tryout phase.
4 weeks of
it was incredibly intense. So, I mean... So I don't know, dude. I don't know. That's
the people who made it through the intense.
Yeah, but like, I mean, maybe it's the teams that just have no hope. Atlanta Reign can still make playoffs. These guys, Washington Justice and Outlaws are kind of maybe Outlaws these days.
Super and Space ain't Super Sinatra ain't got nothing to worry about, right? Moth as well.
Yeah, I mean. Fuck. All I know is
pretty
hyper intensive training for Team USA.
That's pretty surprising though, because I mean, if you go that hard, that takes its toll on the players, but then also the coaches. And I'm like, okay, so let's talk about your career as a player or a coach. Like, you'd probably want to perform the best possible in the Overwatch League, right? Like, World Cup sort of comes secondary. So I'm a bit surprised they put so much effort into the World Cup when a lot of these players and coaches are still competing.
Think about the amount of pressure.
We're not talking forced slave labor, though. They were just doing a bit more than most teams.
But no, people are like, I'm going to push myself to the limits, but people know that it's not good for you. So they're like...
think about in their position right now. USA, your team has been dog shit every other World Cup. Think of the amount of pressure that's on their shoulders right now. They got Bold Eagles flying over. Fighter jets coming over, everything's so much pressure on this team.
When you think of Team USA, you think of Bald Eagles.
Hashtag do it for Trump. That's what that's what they'll be coming out with.
Exactly, but think of the amount of pressure the Team USA has on their shoulders. All the talk they gave last year, and then they got knocked out by Team UK. Yeah. Like this team has constantly underperformed. So imagine the amount of pressure that's on the coaching staff and the players.
What do you?
I will say, sorry, Matt. Can I just sneak in with this? I will say though that on Dogman's Twitter, he actually tweeted out and said that he underperformed in tryouts this time around, and that we shouldn't get upset that he wasn't selected. But you can say that, Dogman. But I don't really give a shit because you're pretty good. So you probably should have had the 12th spot or whatever.
Yeah, it's I almost don't understand like the whole tryout portion of it. Like, you've got to watch most of these players for 30 something owl games now, including like last year. Like, you can kind of have an idea going in. Team Canada, they're just running it back.
Yeah,
they've basically.
That's a great roster. Great roster.
I mean, it's a really good roster. I mean,
it's the best one that you can make from Canada. And also, I think it deserves talking about that. XQC is still a really good player, even when he doesn't play at the top list.
Who did I see tweet out? I thought I saw somebody tweet out, and they were like, it may have been one of the Canada guys or somebody who screamed against Canada, but they're like, I'm actually like, they were so impressed with the fact that XQC can just not play professionally.
I think it was
just
Fusions.
Jump back into it and be. Yeah, I think it may have been Fusions and be able to be that good, just kind of just rolling in.
Yeah, I mean, XQC is an absolute nut, though. Like, the guy just plays 30 hours of ranked a day. Somehow he finds 6 additional hours.
But it was never, I mean, with XQC, it was never really kind of a
it's very different from returning as a main tank and returning as a DPS player as well. Because a lot of the time when you haven't played, and you guys know this as well, when you haven't played Overwatch for a very long time, it comes down to that you're not used to the mechanics or like used to the tempo of the game. And so for a main tank, it's almost strictly about getting back in shape and like, you know, getting comfortable with the movement, getting comfortable with like the ability usage and stuff. It's not like a DPS player has to get good at aiming again and, you know, get those mechanics up. And that takes hours to just refine and get like, you know, picture perfect with your aim. With a main tank, I still sort of have the game sense around how I will play my main tank. It's all about execution. And so it's way easier to get back to the execution part of becoming a main tank.
How does that explain your World Cup performance last year, then?
Well,
Johnny played well. Don't rub on him. Johnny was good.
They brought in Johnny for the leadership.
I know.
I'm not even gonna fucking talk about this, Bren, because that's fucking a rabbit hole I don't want to go down because people are just
I know the reasoning. People's careers would be ruined.
We don't have enough time for that.
We could dish out that kind of drama. People's careers would be over.
They'd be over, yep.
Well, all of Sweden's careers last over are already over.
That's
so,
true,
you know,
actually,
there's no career to kill because everyone from SU already
dead. Do you want to talk about week 1 now?
Wait, there's still some fucking sick World Cup teams to talk about.
Yeah, you dumbass. Shut up, Matt.
We didn't talk about South Korea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where
Team Sweden.
Yeah, we'll talk
was
about
Team Sweden actually announced?
They actually did today. Yeah. The Summer roster. It's on the top of Reddit because people love Sweden for some reason.
I'll tell you who's actually been overlooked the most in this May meta. Nevix, the guy was the best May in the world at that time.
Oh yeah.
He just he's on the bench.
I was so happy when I got onto the PTR and I saw that you can have like a general SR when you combine tank, support, and damage. And I was like, Nevix is gonna top this. Like, I don't care. He's gonna be top 3, dude. Like,
all right. So the South Korean roster right now, it's Mono, Chayobin, Janu, Architect, Carpe, Decay, Haxel, and Nene, Animo, Badoshin, IDK, and Kariv.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a 12-man roster, right?
Yeah, so they have to get this down to 7.
I can't find the South Korean
They
roster.
probably go Mono and Choi.
Where is this?
Where's this fucking roster, man?
It's on Twitter. OWWC Korea team is the Twitter handle.
Oh.
Yeah. The I think one of the most interesting parts was that there was a whole thread of like detailing
Krusty was all right.
Yeah, like Krusty and Yongbongtan did a stream where they went through all of the players and like said why they picked them all as well.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I mean, DM decided to pass because otherwise they would have grabbed him. Jonak decided to pass because otherwise they probably would have grabbed him. But he never mentions profit at any point, which is really interesting.
So weird, yeah.
It is, yeah. I mean, I don't know why they.
How obviously,
I thought I saw something.
We're gonna have 3 World Cups, and we have never seen profit at the World Cup.
Yes, we have.
And even gesture.
Haven't we?
No, profit has not played.
I don't think so. I don't think profit's ever been one.
No, last year they had Carpe and Fleta, right?
They had Carpe, Fleta, and Sabiolbi, I want to say.
And Libero. No, Libero.
Oh, Libero. Yeah, you're right.
That's weird.
It is. It's very
no
strange,
gesture. No.
Well, gesture passed on the Overwatch World Cup this year. Well. Yeah,
I think Fury did too.
Yeah, but the like some of the most interesting stuff you were saying about like tryouts and stuff like that. Krusty said that they trialed Twilight, and he said Twilight works amazingly inside of the Vancouver Titans, but when you took him outside of that, he wasn't as good in when he doesn't know exactly where his team's going to be and what the tendencies of all of his players are and this kind of stuff. So they went with Badoshin and Kariv as well.
Well, I think a thing like the Overwatch World Cup, it's like you have to kind of bank on the players like individual skill, like being good enough to like mask for the not being able to build insane teamwork in a short amount of time or a limited amount of practice. So,
well, did they say anything about why they didn't include Shu?
No, but also, I mean, I don't think I would have gone for Shu over
Badoshin or Kariv.
Yeah, really? I mean, if you're going for, well, maybe, I don't know. If you're going for insane individual talent and experience on top teams, then I think those guys have got it more than Shu does.
Of course,
Shu's probably performing better than them at the moment.
What about
on inside the Overwatch League, but not on a historic level?
Did they ever mention anything about Violet?
No, they didn't. I think there's so many good flex supports, and Violet hasn't really shown that much. Like Anna and his Moira tends to get caught off a lot, and his Zen's very good, but like so are a bunch of other Korean flex supports.
So what I would love to see with this, I love to see Mono and Choi as the tanks. I think Choi has a really good Roadhog, a good Diva. I think him and Mono work really well. Could work really well.
Yeah, Mono and Choi would be my picks.
I want to see a fucking aggressive support line of IDK and Badoshin. I think they would be fucking fun.
That would be really awesome.
Feed their faces off occasionally, but who the fuck cares?
Yeah,
like they would just go out there like Lucio, like Zen, just trying to dumpster people. Like it would be fucking awesome.
It would.
Bigger question is, who do you pick for the DPS here?
Yeah, I mean,
like, this is weird.
Do you bring Architect, Carpe, and Decay? Hacksaws Genji's just unreal.
In a weird way, I think
Hacksaw.
I think because the meta is still just going to be in flux, and there might be some patch changes as well from now until the World Cup, you kind of just have to bring Nene, right, as a backup.
Why?
Because he can play a lot more stuff than some of the other players can.
Interestingly as well, Krusty says in this Q&A stream that he did that he thinks the Overwatch World Cup meta is going to be double hit scan. So almost definitely 2 of the 7...
Krusty's thinking about my fantasy roster as well. We're both on the same wavelength.
So why wouldn't you just have Carpe and Decay if you're doing double hit scan?
I mean, I don't know. The only thing with Carpe is that he's kind of got a crazy playstyle, right? So if you don't want to deal with that, then maybe you don't go with him. But I would say Carpe's the more all-round talented compared to Nene, but
I also think Decay is a bit like, we all know Decay has insane potential and it's gonna be like a superstar, whatever. But I don't think he's polished enough yet to be like he hasn't fulfilled his potential yet in my mind. Like when I watch the Gladiators play, he has a lot of like unforced errors. I still think, like you can see the mechanics being unreal, and like you can just watch him play and just recognize how sick of a player he is. But there's still a lot of like unforced errors and stuff that needs to be polished up.
Like, does who this team decides to bring in terms of a support line determines who they're going to bring in terms of DPS? Because if they decide to bring like Kariv and Animo, that's a way more passive team than Badoshin and IDK.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
In terms of playstyle.
I mean,
so who would you bring, Bren?
Well, because the meta we're in right now, where it's like Roadhog Orisa stuff is, which we're seeing like almost 90% of the time. The supports are just almost inconsequential.
Yeah,
they're just there. They're just there to heal, like bots, and just try not to die.
Yeah. Your little snacks for the enemy DPS players.
Exactly.
Who would you pick, Bren?
For the supports?
No, in terms of okay, give me the whole team. Give me your.
Right, I get Mano and Choi because Choi Hog is cracked. His Diva's pretty good, and Mano's super consistent. I get IDK and Kariv. I think as my duo there for the support line, and then for DPS, because you don't know what the meta is going to be in terms of that. I mean, DPS is the one thing that's probably going to be in flux the most. I'd definitely pick up Nene just as the backup. That'd be my 7th person. But for the actual, it's really hard.
I don't think you can bring Nene as a backup because then you have like 3 other players who play hit scan. And then do you want a projectile player? You need to bring either Hacksaw or
Nene would be my projectile player, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Wait, you mean hit scan?
Yeah, you'd be your.
What?
So then you're leaving. So you're bringing.
I don't know what the fuck Krusty's done here, honestly.
You'd be bringing Nene to drop either Carpe or Decay.
He's drafted some odd DPS choices.
Well, again, my view, I think you need to bring either
who's your
Hanzo. Carpe could play Hanzo.
Carpe, Decay can also play Hanzo. Architect probably slaps with Hanzo. I think I just go with Architect, Carpe, Decay, and I skip on Haxel and Nene. Controversial, but that's just that. I mean,
that makes some sense.
Let's be real. Whoever they fucking take, they're going to the finals.
They're going to. You say that like they're not going to win, Bren.
Yeah,
I mean anything's possible.
Mono Choi, and I go Animo Badoshin.
We hype up the Overwatch World Cup like it's Like it's the Dragons Mayhem match coming around in stage 1 every time. Like, is this going to be the one? Like, is this going to be the year?
Yeah.
And in the back of our minds, we all know it's not going to be the time they lose.
The benefits of the Overwatch League being in the same spot means that everyone's scrimming against each other and everyone's improving at quite a rapid rate, right? So, like, I mean, think of the gap between South Korea and the rest of the world back in like 2016. It was massive. It was like wide.
Way closer now.
But yeah, way closer now. The gap is
closing.
The gap is closing.
Bren's been reading the Overwatch World Cup PR sheet.
Yeah, I've been sniffing at that source.
But it actually is like shock are the only reason that the gap is closed.
Yeah,
because they got good. They played with a bunch of Koreans, and Krusty is their coach. And so essentially, Krusty has boosted the NA scene. Boosted them into a position where
Johnny, who would you take? You say take Architect, Carpe, and Decay.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
Supports
Animo and Bedoshin. I just think they're consistently great at what they do. I think like Brent said, that IDK and Kariv, like they're fucking out there. You know, they got some banging potential. But I think Animo, Bedoshin, you just play to your consistent strength.
If you do take Animo, you do get Animo and Mono together, right? So I mean, that is a good to keep that teamwork. I mean, it's definitely proven the Overwatch League, right?
Yeah, it's like we said though, it's
all right.
Whatever.
I'd like to talk, if we're done with this topic, about Team Australia.
Oh, okay.
They're actually. Did you read the thing that Gumba tweeted?
Yes.
What was it?
So
super interesting.
It was, yeah. So Gunba basically broke down like all of the problems with Australia as a region.
Oh,
He was like, it's kind of fun because we have to scrim again. We've got people spread all over the world because like some of us are in America for the Overwatch League and some of us are still stuck in Australia. We've got all of this expectation to actually make BlizzCon and do all right. But we are one of the places with the least resources and all of this shit. So we had to make some difficult decisions. And then he just goes through like his logical reasoning. He's one of the best communicators in the entirety of the Overwatch League. Like the guy is, you couldn't be mad at that because he just broke down very logically all of his rational decisions.
Can I ask one question before you go into it?
Sure.
To add, to like form a question about his point. Would you guys expect Australia to make the top 8? Like before seeing the roster, just predicting like the top 8 at World Cup, would you guys predict Australia to be one of the top 8 teams every year?
No.
Why not the top 10?
Because Australia making the top 8 for me is like, it's not a surprise, but it's like I'm not expecting them to perform up to that level given their circumstances. And so like,
no, I would have like teams like Sweden, Denmark. I would have these kind of countries above Australia. Yeah, you just shit the bed when it came to the
you guys see,
love shitting the bed.
I think Australia is in such a difficult spot though because even with Call of Duty, like the connections, like to get players to connect to each other and like have decent ping was like almost impossible. And like you'd have to have like a neutral host in Sydney, but then people in like Perth are still playing on like almost 100 ping. Like I don't know how the fuck you even pick a team from there. But
here's the thing. Here's what they do. They scrim against Korean contenders teams. So what they need a bunch of people on like the on the west coast of America, and then you get a bunch of people from like the west coast of Australia, and that's what they got. But their team is pretty interesting. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but one interesting fact is CKM has come out of retirement as their kind of flex DPS player. So he recently came just before the Overwatch World Cup. But what was interesting is they chose to pick him up over anyone else in the scene.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he hasn't played recently, just because Gumba was like, I don't have faith. He literally says, I don't have faith in anyone else in the scene to be able to play as many heroes to such a high level.
You know what roster I like? I just found. I like the China roster.
Yeah, the China roster is kind of.
Can we talk about Australia's roster before you actually go there?
Go on then, Johnny.
What do you want to talk about, Johnny?
Australia's roster, because you guys hyped it up like it was gonna be this sick roster.
But the reason I look forward to seeing where Australia come in the World Cup is not just because I got more family in Australia now than I do the UK, but also I think Gumba is one of the best coaches in the league. I mean, he hasn't put up results, but just chatting to the guy, he's got a very clear mindset of what he wants to do with coaching. He's very logical in his process. He likes to think things through. Really difficult to say for some reason for me, but I really do respect the guy to quite a high level. And even speaking to him in Thailand last year, when we got the opportunity to sit down with all the teams as well. I mean, he was definitely the most eloquent and the one who was most reasonable to speak to about a lot of the decisions they made, a lot of the hardships. Yeah, I mean, I think that this team will go far with him behind the wheel.
I also go ahead.
The other crazy thing about the Australian roster, though, is that they're sending a coach instead of a 7th player.
Yes, yeah, which is ridiculous, right?
They just don't think that they think their roster's flexible enough anyway, and they won't get value out of having a sub because they're not really going to get scrim time because the coach uses that 7th PC.
That's
anyway.
So big brain.
So they're sending one of the Australian coaches, Face, or his name's Face. I don't know why I'm saying Face. That's his Twitter handle. Yeah, from Australia. So they're like booking a coach onto their player roster and sending him so that they've got extra coaching.
That's actually really good as well because I think sometimes when these teams bring 3 DPS players, there's actually like some competition among the 3 DPS players about who should actually play in the roster. Because sometimes people are not willing to really accept their roles. Sometimes, those bench players can like get tilted that they're not getting to get one of the starting roster spots to actually show what they're worth and like perhaps change up the momentum of the team. So actually sending a solid 6, I'm a big fan of because that just means that like, hey, you are the 6 guys, okay, and we're going to coach you to your best potential. But then you don't have any like, oh, I need to perform so I can maintain this DPS slot. Otherwise, this guy is going to replace me in the roster. Like,
subs are hard.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to what kind of atmosphere you're sort of, hosting within the World Cup team. But for a lot of these young guys, I can see them just wanting to play and care about their own individual performance and getting to play more than, their role in the World Cup roster.
I mean, the only time a sub is okay with being a sub is when they know that they play at a sub level. Like when you when you're bringing somebody who's like as good to start as like a sub, that person's just going to be upset. Like there's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, if you bring 2 Widowmaker players, one of the Widowmaker players is going to be upset that he's not the best.
Watches the other Widowmaker get dunked on in game 1, and then he's still sitting on the bench in game 2. He's just going to be like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah, so I really like this move from Australia because I think it will definitely help sort of the vibe about the team and the atmosphere of the team. Like the players will feel way more relaxed. I mean, specifically the DPS players will be so much more relaxed, not having to worry about being replaced or having someone breathing up their neck. So I also like to end on Australia. I really like that Punk is back in the lineup because Punk is a bit of a beast and he deserves to be picked up.
I like Australia as a country as well. It's a good place.
Good lads, honestly, good lads.
Good people there.
Good group of lads.
China, basically, you're going to have the Chengdu Hunters. So you got Jinmu, Elsa, Evil Tall Q, leave as well. I believe they just signed him last week or something like that. And then they got Gushui and Eileen. Round things out. That's a baller roster.
What is it though? Because I don't know about the Shui.
The Shui?
I don't know about the Shui.
I don't know about the Shui.
That Shui.
You brought Eamon?
I think so.
Oh, come on.
I think you bring Eamon.
Come on, bro.
You've got the entirety of Chengdu.
End the call, dude. End the call.
Yes, Gushui was very good, but I don't know if we're going to be seeing a Winston meta.
I can see where Bren is coming from. I'm not going to defend his argument. I can see where he's coming from.
I'm not going to defend him, but I can understand why.
A Winston meta. I don't know if we're going to see it. And that's been Gushui's bread and butter. Not to say he can't play the other tanks, because he can. But Eamon has the pre-existing synergy with Chengdu. He can play Orisa and he can play Ball.
It's not preposterous.
No, it's not preposterous. I mean,
that sounded like Winnie the Pooh clock on the Discord call for a moment there. It's not preposterous.
he just went off on some long tangent that.
I don't
think any of us agree with it, but I don't think any of us are like.
The thing that I'm thinking is, could you hit the compromise of having him as the 7th player? But I don't think you can, because who do you bench out of the DPS? Like, I think, do you bench Jinmu?
I think Jinmu.
Fucking Hanzo and Genji are fucking nutty though. Like
they should have had Leave and Crystal. Honestly, where is Crystal?
Yeah.
Well, they isn't it Hangzhou's coach, which is like Almont Crystal in here?
Is it Hangzhou's coach that built the team? If so, that's hilarious.
Am I wrong? Maybe it's Chengdu's coach.
No, it's Chengdu's coach.
It's Chengdu's coach.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Why we'll yeah.
Oh yeah, it's only Sweden, by the way, that gets rumors about nepotism. No, in other countries, of course. It's,
he did coach their World Cup team last year, which I mean,
Crystal was on it last year, right?
He had Crystal on it last year.
Yeah, and Crystal
they went far.
Go nuts together.
Yeah,
they went far.
I think this is solid though, because Leven, Eileen, and Jinmu, like, you're not really missing anything. Like, what
you do have 2 DPS players that are just on crack the entire time.
Yeah,
just diving into their backline. Jinmu and Eileen will just not be stopped. They will just dive.
Jinmu, Eileen, and Among. Dude.
No, dude. Chengdu, Eileen, and Gushui is going to be aggressive as hell.
It's going to be so mental. Like, these players don't have S keys. They are just going to feed the little brains out.
I do hope we see a Winston meta come about.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, Bren, if it's like let's say it's a Winston dive style of meta, how do you like this team now?
Oh, I fucking love it. These guys, these poor little boys are just going to int into the backlines and wreck every other team until they get to the finals, and then they're going to lose to South Korea again. But until that point, it's going to be great.
I'm not sure we're ever going to see a Winston meta again. Unless Wrecking Ball gets nerfed mega hard.
Dude, let me call up Papa Jeff and get that guy boosted up.
Hey, yo, Jeff.
I think people are good enough with Wrecking Ball now that I can't really see many situations where you'd want to run Winston instead.
Especially
so much more disruption, so much more survivability. Can't be poked down from a distance because you just whip your way in mad quickly from all sorts of weird angles. The biggest thing that Winston has going for him is primal, but Wrecking Ball just seems like you would want to run it in divey compositions or places. I don't know. When would you want to run Winston? I can't really conjure a meta where it works anymore, unless
I think only certain maps that you couldn't play, like Hanamura offense, like when you're going to point B and you want to play like a dive. I'm not exactly sure how you use ball there.
I mean, Winston is more like zone controlling than Wrecking Ball is, right?
Yeah,
that's
like
you can actually take and control space better with Winston, I find. But for diving purposes, I mean, Wrecking Ball is probably better.
I also love too that when I was watching a few different players play the other day, that I guess they've just figured out that when Ball has his adaptive shield and you're shooting him, you don't get ult charge.
Yeah, because it's a shield.
Right. But like,
actually, do you get shield when you shoot Lucio ult? Do you get ult when you shoot Lucio ult?
I don't think so.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Right?
No. Which
I've actually never thought about it.
Well, one of us should know, but no.
None of us knows.
It makes Ball.
Hey, wait for Twitch chat. Wait for Twitch chat to give us the answer.
When Ball goes in and then gets the shields and pounds down, he then has 900 health, and then like 300 of it, you don't get ult charge.
Oh, you do get ult charge from shooting Lucio.
Really? I mean, I've never noticed that you didn't. My default was just that you did, but I mean, I also just thought you did on Wrecking Ball.
No, it's very weird all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that you did get it on the Wrecking Ball as well, but you do not.
I doubt it's really game changing, but yeah, interesting little quirk. That you can't really feed.
I mean, you say that it's not like game changing, but it actually like quite a lot like impacts.
Okay, you gain. This was 11 months ago, so I don't know if they've changed it. But you gain ult charge for shooting Lucio's sound barrier and Doomfist passive shield, but not Ham and Z.
Yeah. That's still how it works.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that which makes. I mean, that's a reason. Like, I mean, imagine like if Hammond would go in and then he'd get to 900 HP, and then
he'd be feeding more ult charge than Roadhog.
Yeah, I mean, he would be. Then you could see Winston come back. But like,
yeah, but I'm actually pretty torn on this issue, because I think that, like, if you think in that kind of way, where you're like, Hammond becomes an ult battery, to me, it's sort of like just get better forehead and like be more tactful about how you dive. But now, when you don't get ult charge, it's just like, the hero is just good because of that. Like, I think that's not a good reason why Wrecking Ball should be powerful.
Somebody's in the chat, which is interesting. You get ult charge from shooting Sigma shields that he gets from eating damage.
Okay.
I don't even understand what that sentence means.
Like, I know Sigma can like turn damage into shields.
Yeah.
That you do get ult charge from shooting his shields.
Okay, that makes things weird. I think you should get ultimate from Hammond shield, and then if Hammond becomes underpowered because of that, then you need to address it in other areas. But I don't like the inconsistency.
I don't even think it makes any difference because the kind of Hammond compositions are generally supposed to win the neutral, not win the ult fight. Anyway, it's not like most team comps that are built around Hammond is about disruption and getting picks and winning the neutral engagement, not about like waiting for some big ult to come up. So
but you get punished for repeatedly diving with your shields up, which I sort of like.
But only a small amount. I mean, I don't think it would even. I don't think it would even be that noticeable if it got changed.
Can you see how it's an inconsistency issue?
Well, somebody in the chat said that I guess they view the Hammond shield as the same as the Orisa Winston Orisa barrier type shield.
But that's so.
But it's a self barrier.
Sure.
I guess that's the way you would think of it, but
I don't like that.
It's weird because it's an inconsistent amount of HP to the barrier. Like, it's not like every time you throw down Orisa's shield, there's a different amount of HP attached to it. Like, you know.
True.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like I guess a literal shield that wraps around him.
Yeah. Enough about the science. Let's get down. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
All right, let's talk about week 1.
We haven't talked about week 1.
What was your
actually? Can we actually talk about Team Sweden first?
Okay, what do you want to say about Team Sweden?
No, Johnny's about to ruin his career.
No, I don't even want to talk. I think
Johnny on
but it's clearly one of the most upvoted posts on Reddit. So people genuinely care about Team Sweden, and it's not even like I want to talk about Team Sweden. I wanted you guys to talk about Team Sweden without it turning into a shit show. Well, like legit thoughts on the roster that they presented and the people who didn't get it.
I think Johnny should have been on there.
Yeah, I don't know why that reinforced guy should have been on
Hashtag justice for reinforced. Get it trending.
No, that hashtag is killed, dude. Just
what are your opinions on it? Because you asking for
so
basically you waiting to give your opinion.
So Lude is not in there. There shows Ep.6 for flex support, Elevote versus Nevix. There's no Twick in there, which I don't really mind actually, but you know that's up to the coaches. But like they have a Rat instead of Danny D. Like Sideshow, you must have some opinion on this roster.
Yeah, I do. But the biggest issue for me is that I don't really I don't have strong opinions on how the DPS stuff is really going to work because we've literally only seen the contenders scene play goats for like an eternity.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, well, take whoever the hell you want at DPS.
No one really thinks of that.
Well, the only thing I care about is that Nevix didn't make the starting roster, and I think the man's been absolutely robbed, as I said earlier in the
Nevix is a fucking nutter. He's a nutter.
Nobody has suffered from success as much as Nevix had. He's only ever succeeded, and for that reason, he's on the arguably best team in the league. He's just on the bench. Nobody's ever suffered from success this hard.
Yeah, poor Nevix.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Justice for Nevix.
But also, I think the Lulcich Elevote thing is really interesting. Also, the fact that they got added to the Washington Justice. Did you know these guys were playing football together when they were 7 years old?
What?
They've actually been friends since they were 7 years old.
No way.
That's really cool.
And they are now in the Overwatch League together as a tank duo. Yeah. How awesome is that? They are literally childhood friends.
And now they'll be able to sit behind Giannis and Samsung and gain some more experience and go in the World Cup.
People need to be hunting for Wizardchong's head if they don't get fielded as the moment that they land from they touch down in LAX. They need to be shuttled without seeing the light into the scrim environment and instantly placed in the chairs.
No, the Justice got a win this week.
That's true. Actually, I don't think they're a perfect team.
Yeah. Bren said they're going to be good this stage. Let's talk about week 1.
What do you think is better?
Anything super surprising in week 1?
Super surprising week 1. New York.
A lot of stuff was surprising in week 1. New York being
poo, ruining my rankings.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny, have you actually released your rankings article yet?
No, it's being released on Wednesdays, but I can pretty much talk about it since it is.
Yeah.
My power rankings.
Because I think the power rankings is one of the best ways of like thinking about this first week.
Yes, I'm actually really regretful that I didn't rank Paris Eternal higher because they actually played well above their season performance this past week. They were my 11th team in my power rankings, but I completely believe that you could justify them being in the top 10 after losing map 5 to the Valiant and beating the Houston Outlaws, who beat the Gladiators. Like
they've just played Papega teams.
Valiant is not a Papega team, and Houston in a roll-up meta is actually.
I think Valiant are a pretty shit team at the moment. I think Valiant shit the bed in that series.
So you think the Houston Outlaws are by far better than Paris Eternal?
No, I think Houston are a weird team that are only good when they figure out. Like, Houston are just improvising on the fly. Houston Outlaws are a jazz artist that sometimes hits on a riff that's amazing, and they're like, holy hell, I can play music. And sometimes they're just going. And so good. And when they played against Paris, they were just going.
Yeah.
And then somehow, when they accidentally sub in Dante, they're like, doodly diddly doo. Oh, wow, that's actually a really sick doodly doo. And then next week, they'll get back to the saxophone and shit the bed again. They're all over the place. And it just comes down to like whether or not they feel it in the moment of like, do I have this intuitive understanding of the meta and my opponent? But I don't think that makes Houston
the Houston Outlaws play the Philadelphia Fusion in week 2. What is it going to sound like, Josh?
I don't know. It's impossible to predict what the Houston Outlaws are going to bring to the table. I think Philly are a pretty mediocre team right now, but I think Houston could win or lose that game just purely based on their own performance.
I was more curious in the sound
itself. What kind of read they have? Huh?
I was more curious in the sound itself.
It's an enigma at this point. It's what do you call it? It's the fucking cat. It's Schrodinger's cat of jazz musicians.
Schrodinger's jazz.
Yeah, Schrodinger's jazz. It can be simultaneously harmonious and a bit shit at the same time.
That has to be one of the best things that ever happened on this podcast. That was actually unreal. I love that.
I'm pretty upset with Houston. Also, I don't fucking know with that team. Whatever.
Can we talk about how hard the Dallas Fuel have actually fallen?
Yeah.
So the Dallas homestand, they win both their games. They come back, they beat the Mayhem in stage 2 week 5. They get a win against the Justice in stage 3 week 1 and haven't won since then.
Yeah.
They did play this week though against arguably the best team in the game right now. I'm making the claim that London are the best team.
Oh. I love me some London, but
yeah,
I've got London in my top 3, but I think they've only played against idiots.
I felt bad about ranking them top 4. I was like, they don't deserve to be top 4.
I think London are looking fire.
I think
no, they played Papega teams.
They've played Dallas and Toronto, the two of
the most Papega teams.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. London, I feel like they've got it. It's just there. It's hidden. It's
who I tell you how I like they played this week? I thought the Guangzhou Sharks were pretty good this week.
I think Guangzhou are looking pretty decent, but not like elite. I think they're looking all right, but they're looking like sloppy good. You know.
But I think they're a scary team if they sneak into the 7 through 12 range.
Oh yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen, right?
Like I would not want to play like if you're like right now Guangzhou sits at 10th. Like you'd have them play they would play Chengdu, which is an interesting match, and then play like somebody like Seoul Dynasty. I think like they could easily beat like Seoul Dynasty in a one match play-in.
I rate Seoul pretty highly, which is pretty rational because they haven't really performed that well. I think they played Shock and did they play
the Dragons?
Shanghai. They played Shanghai as well. Two pretty good teams.
Yeah, they played really good teams and they took 2 losses. But I actually think this is a team that you shouldn't really sleep on, and I actually think that they actually have the potential to be pretty good in this meta. They obviously haven't reached their peak yet.
How good do you think the Dragons are going to be in this meta then?
I think Dragons are going to boss. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Dragons as the 4th best team. I've got London at number 3 and Dragons at number 4. I think they're pretty good.
But in my mind, the top 4 goes as follows. I think it goes Vancouver.
Wait, didn't you just say London were the number 1 team? Your opinion has changed within the last 3 minutes.
But I think it's very tough right now. The number 1 spot is like contested.
Yeah, I agree.
Between Vancouver and London. I put London as number 2 just because, again, they have played against Papega teams. Number 3, I would definitely put as Shock, and number 4 as Shanghai.
Yeah, those are my top 4 teams. I just have them in a different order because I think London have not played against good enough teams to be able to tell.
I'm excited to see
Titans
New York.
look nasty,
I'm
though.
excited to see New York play this week. Like you lose like that bad to the Glads, and then you see the Glads lose to the Outlaws, and that's your only game of the week. Like they have some easy matches next week.
So if we lived in Las Vegas and we could actually bet on sports, I would actually throw like some silly like $5 bill at Paris to beat New York.
Well, you can't because you work on the league, but
that is true. I can't. That would also
even if you lived in Vegas, you couldn't do that.
That's actually true. I could not do that.
I would also put an outside bet on that, but not because I think Paris are good. I think New York have just lost it at the moment. They've actually just lost it. They don't understand what the meta is.
Are we overreacting?
No. Well, maybe.
Do you think there's a way the Spark fall out of the top 6?
Yeah. I think Spark have lost it as well. I think Spark and New York have.
They're 14. They're 14-8 right now. The Spark in 4th. That's only one game out of being down to 7th. The Dragons are like right there.
Overall.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that.
No, they're 14-8 right now. The Spark.
Yeah.
Lads are 14-9. London's 14-9. And the Dragons are 13-10.
Who does Spark play against?
They have a pretty rough schedule. Wow, they have Guangzhou, New York, Chengdu. They're gonna beat Dallas. Then they have Gladiators,
but like
and
let's
the
say
Shanghai Dragons. That's actually difficult.
that is tough.
I mean, this week, let's say they lose to Chengdu, they drop to what 14-9. You think the Gladiators get at least one win? The Gladiators play Chengdu, so they end the Shock. I mean, that's a toss up, but like London could pass them this week. London plays Florida. They have definitely passed them already. London plays the Charge. So that could be a pretty good game, but.
Yes, London Charge is going to be a great game.
Like you could realistically see the Spark fall from 4th down to like 9th.
Could happen.
It's so even.
8-9.
Yeah, sure.
But the team they played against this week is going to be a little sleeper pick for me. The Atlanta Reign are actually going to come out in full force this stage.
Yeah.
And I think they've gone under everybody's radar because they were so shit when it came to GOATs, honestly. They just farmed easy teams at the homestand, let's be real. But they're going to be good now. Erster is finally unlocked.
I think you're only going to see, like, when we get to the play-ins and you have those 7 through 12, I only think, like, the 7 seed is going to be a lock to make it through, and then I think that other spot's wide open. Like, I think, like, worst case scenario, like, Seoul or Shanghai ends up in, like, 7th. Maybe one of them's in, like, 8th at that point. Like, both those teams are in, I like it. If Hangzhou is down, I think you could see a team like Atlanta or the Charge sneak in there.
It's
the overall playoff.
Yeah. And anything's possible at this point, which is going to make Stage 4 entertaining. It also is just like mad up in the air.
Let's talk about Atlanta for a bit, Sideshow, because they're actually playing the Paris Eternal and the Houston Outlaws this week.
They're going to go 2-0.
I like Atlanta.
They could go 2-0 here.
I think they're going to go 2-0. I think they kind of, at the beginning of the league, their strategy was to go for very individually skilled players, and they ran into a fuck ton of problems. Like, they had Defran, who didn't implode and bring the entire team down, but he decided to retire. And then they rescued it by bringing in Baby Bay, who's actually been a pretty decent addition for the team. They also had communication issues, which they've now solved. And they've hit a meta at the end of the season, which really emphasizes individual skill on your DPS players. And I think Enlayer is playing some of his best Overwatch he's ever played, actually, at the moment. Which, granted, is only one game, but he's playing pretty well. And Erster's always going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. It actually, this Atlanta Reign in Stage 4 feels a bit like Boston Uprising with mistakes from last year, I find. Like, I find their rosters pretty comparable. You have, like, Erster coming in. You have Note can be pretty comparable to maybe like Dako. Pokbo can be comparable to maybe like Gamsu. Like I find I can draw a lot of like comparisons between the two teams, and I think that they'll ultimately like get a few wins this stage.
I think you can tell how good of a team they are and have been through the whole year, even at 10 and 12. I mean, look at the teams around them in terms of map differential. Minus 50, minus 42, minus 26, minus 23, minus 16, minus 14, minus 12, and they're still +2.
Who's this?
Even
Atlanta.
Atlanta. They're the only team from 9 through 20 with a positive map differential.
But also, they've just farmed the Atlantic Division.
Yeah.
True.
You know, I mean, they're surrounded by people in the division who are actually good teams.
But they're getting blowout wins against those teams. Like usually, like I think Atlanta's a team that plays like up to their competition. Like a lot of times, like in the games against New York, like you saw them really kind of take it to another level. I think it's because you have somebody like Dogman on the stage, like screaming his face off. Baby Bay's
they get hyped.
Dude, Baby Bay challenge. Okay, Baby Bay challenged a Widow duel this weekend when I was casting that I've never seen anybody do. The fight is on the point behind him. Hold on, what game was it? I gotta. It had to have been Atlanta Hangzhou, and I think it was Godspeed coming out of spawn on Widowmaker for the spark on Temple of Anubis, and Baby Bay grappled onto the overhang. Body shotted him once, and then he went. The Godspeed went to like the health pack to the left. And then he just dropped down into the choke without his grapple cooldown and just started fighting him up close.
Yeah.
And the fight's going down on the point behind him. I was like, what the hell?
I remember watching that and thinking, fuck me, these teams have no understanding of how to play the game. Where like we move away from goats.
A good I mean, he was
bro, the kill, it's all over the place. This is why I'm not giving too much stock into this first week. Because the teams are just all. It feels like it's just sloppy gamers all over the bloody shop.
It is very sloppy, yeah.
Like there's still a lot that needs to be refined in terms of that stuff. Like they're taking these weird fights. Like sure, it might be a good play if you can win the 1v1, but your grapples off cooldown. And what if they coordinated and one person just comes behind and just helps?
Well, they did. They farmed him and they won point A off the back of it. That was the only reason that they lost point A, because otherwise they were dominating the point A defense. I think you just got, get caught up. You've been rolling them for so long, you just feel immortal. So
it looked ridiculous when I was watching it on like the top-down map though. See the little Widowmaker icon go flying towards their spawn. I was like, where is he going? There's no reason to be going to challenge that. Boston, I mean that team. Oh man.
Car Crash Central, Boston up.
Give up on them. Give up on Boston.
Boston are with Dallas in the absolutely mentally.
When was the last time they won a game, Boston? I feel like they've been on 8 wins for like.
I think it was 2018. I think they had a perfect stage.
Come on.
It was actually in stage 3, week 3, a map 5 win against Paris.
That's unlucky.
What about before that?
Before that, stage
before that, it was
2,
stage 2,
week 5. Versus
Yeah.
Gladiators.
They beat the Gladiators and then lost to the Justice.
Aye.
That's the most Boston week ever.
What's the jacuzzi drama? The hot tub.
Just, I mean, the Boston Uprising, I think, are just a crack team. Like they always have.
What does that mean when you say that?
Fractured. I mean fractured.
Okay,
don't
don't misuse Zoomer words.
Sorry,
because when you say
I was
crack,
using it in a
I'm
boomerang
thinking
way.
They're fucking great.
No,
but you mean it as in cracked, as in they are a structurally, the structural integrity of this team is all over the place.
When you say cracked, I think the team is on fucking drugs.
No,
like
sorry, I was misusing
the Zuma reference. Cracks like they're like popping off, like they're like out of control.
Yeah.
Like,
why don't you just say that they slap instead?
No, I think
because that's like a boomer word to use.
Like when you think of like somebody's playing like cracked, think of like Jinmu on Hanzo, just like doing 360s, just like one-shotting people just, like, everywhere.
There's some Call of Duty phrase, whatever. Go on.
But Boston are a very fractured team, I think, and I think that's just the natural evolution of their game plan at the beginning, to pick up people for a small amount of money. So you have low salaries. The environment within the team is very very coach down. You know, they have a lot of set hierarchy, and they pick up players based on their ability and try and flip them. And so you naturally get situations like you did last year, where you had the team split into 2 schisms, where you had the Koreans versus everybody else. And then this year, Aim God's just been sat on the bench the entire time, presumably for some originally some like disciplinary reason. Who the hell knows what the reason is now? But then I think the team is mentally broken. Like Fusions came in to be the leadership figure, but he's brand new to the team. They sold off Note.
All right, RCK versus No Trade.
Well, did you see
What do we think?
RCK he's in their World Cup roster, but as a DPS, not even as an off tank.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yes,
He's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to like always talk about Nevix, but he is sort of like Finland's flexible tank DPS player. Like, I'm pretty sure he plays on like Genji in Contenders or something. Am I wrong?
Yes, I don't know, something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the RCK note trade was always horrible for Boston, and unless they got I want someone to dig into the numbers and a journalist to ask around and see what the money was, and that's why I think this shit should be public, because I've heard rumors about what the number was, and it's required. The money is a required, like the whole thing about like Bishu, the money involved with like picking up Bishu is required to have like an understanding of whether or not it was a good acquisition. Like if they got him for £2.50, yeah. If you got him for $12, then sure, fair enough, nice one. If you managed to do the RCK note trade and you got 100K out of it, then fine, good. But also, if you didn't, then it's a horrible trade, because note is a lot better. And also, he would have fit into Boston much better than he fits into Dallas as well, because Dallas are also a team that has lost leadership. You can't trade a leader from one team to another and expect them to still be a leader. They don't know the players on the other team. They haven't built that respect.
I always thought Note was going to be like the mainstay on Boston. Like I thought he was.
He was a fan favorite of like Boston.
I thought he was going to be like their guy. You know?
No one's safe underneath Papa Huck.
But it also just doesn't make sense to trade when you're Boston unless you get a huge check, because Huck signs people for low salaries. That's the whole point of the Boston Uprising. If you trade for someone like from a London Spitfire, say you traded like Note for Fury, well, now you got to pay Fury's salary. Yeah. So all of these things are really important to consider when you have Boston Uprising, who are like a cash farm rather than an Overwatch League team.
All right.
Good rant from Sideshow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Do
the
we
end of
feel,
the episode, guys? Thanks for watching.
And they're done. Boston Uprising are done. They're out of here.
Let's go over some of the best matches this week before we go.
Yeah.
We got day 1, Guangzhou, London. I think that's going to be a fire match. I think that'll be pretty sweet.
That should be.
Yeah, that should be decent.
Florida
Mayhem, Washington Justice, bro.
I'm gonna tell you,
wow.
The Justice are gonna roll them, dude.
Yeah.
The Justice are going to roll them.
That's going to be so depressing when Justice beats them 4-0.
I don't think they're gonna beat them 4-0 though. Like roll them, okay, but Mayhem have only played against the Titans at the moment, so of course they were gonna get absolutely dogged raw in that game. But
the old Thorin phrase, I see.
Dude, they have a lot of.
Is that a Thorin phrase? I was thinking
maps
of Bren
would be.
No, I was actually thinking of Cruz. Cruz always says dogged. He always uses the word dogged.
The maps in that one is going to be Busan, Volskaya, Kings Row, and Havana.
For what? Florida Mayhem, Washington?
Yeah, pretty good Widowmaker maps, yeah.
I don't care about that game.
I don't care.
Get this fucking game out of my sight.
What do you mean?
I'd get it out of my sight. I don't want to see it.
Seoul Valiant, that could be interesting.
Yeah,
I think Seoul are going to finally show that they're a good team in that game.
Yeah.
They've played against tough opposition so far, but I think they're going to beat the Valiant. I think this is going to start a little bit of a downhill spiral for the Valiant, actually.
I think Friday you have 4 interesting matches overall, like New York, Paris, just to see how New York bounces back.
Yeah.
Houston, Philly, like Philly needs to start like racking up wins.
That's a good rivalry as well.
Yeah.
Well, Philly are in the Papega division, so they don't really need to start. There's a lot less pressure on them to rack up wins compared to some of the other teams.
There's some pretty good maps here as well. Ilios, Anubis, Hollywood, Havana. That's actually a pretty good map set for Houston, Philly.
Chengdu Gladiators.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah. And then
Chengdu totally shit the bed when they played against Boston, and they still managed to come out with a win, but they had to claw their way through it. But I think Chengdu are actually a good team, as long as they don't play like idiots.
Yeah. And then Guangzhou, Hangzhou.
Yeah.
I think you need to see the Spark win this week, this game.
They need to feel Bazzi. They just need to feel Bazzi all the time. And if Bazzi isn't good enough on his other heroes, he needs to step up, because otherwise Hangzhou are fucked.
Yeah, they did play him in the second half of the series, the one that I casted. But and then Saturday, Atlanta, Paris could be
reasonable.
An interesting one. Florida, London.
No.
That'll
skip the middle.
happen.
Skip the middle 2
That'll
here.
Happen.
We don't. Nobody wants to see him.
Gladiator Shock, I think, could be.
Whoa, there we go.
That will be.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think Shock win that one and prove that they're not just like a one-trick team.
God, Sunday, the Titans played fucking Florida last week, and now they're playing the Justice.
I get match of the week, and then the poop stain of the week with
Hurek versus Corey.
It could
that
be
actually would be cool.
No, shut up! Come.
Hurek versus Corey.
I like watching Corey play Widowmaker. I think that team, look, the Justice. We know what they are, right? They ain't good, but like, I think he's legit. Like, I'm excited to see him play Widow. Like every time I see him play Widow, like he always just like pops off.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I could definitely see him win that Widowmaker duel, but it doesn't compensate for the bad game. I'm
in it for the redemption arc of Hureg. This guy has just been memed on as like the lucky charm. He's the winningest player of all time.
He pulled some shit the other day on Junkertown that was like nasty. Like he was like winning fights on his own. Like
me and Hurek the other night we were drinking it up in K-Town. We were going ham.
Oh, okay.
He didn't speak any English, but we were bonding over the fact that we both look older than we actually are. And yes, Josh, he is 23 years of age. We're the same age. I know what you're Googling.
Just quickly Googling.
I know you're looking up. Yeah.
It's actually
me and Hurek. Me and Hurek. Well, he told me he was 23.
Well, he's turning 23.
Yes, well, he's Korean age 23.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a topic for another podcast.
Good lad, honestly. We didn't really understand each other much, but I mean, he's got a chiseled jawline, and people always think he looks older than he is, and I'm like, same with me. People always think I look 40.
It's cool that you see some of these players who've been like on the bench for like stages are actually coming in and making an impact now. Like we had heard like a lot of players were just like sitting around just like one trick and Widow, like waiting for this moment potentially, and kind of good to see it pay off a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to learn some more Korean. That's what I realized. I was like going out that night, and I was just like, the only words I knew were gosu and babo. So I was just saying like every time me and Hurek would take a shot of soju, I would say, "Hey, gosu." Every time I'd offer Sideshow a drink, and he'd be like, "No, I'm leaving." I'd be like, "Oh, babo," just pointing at him. They were loving it.
It's nice to see that you're making a real effort.
Yeah, Big Goose is learning some Korean. You learn with him.
Yeah, maybe.
Big Goose is taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
All right. But that's I mean, Chengdu, New York to end the schedule. So
yeah.
Hey,
if New York lose that first one, that one against Chengdu is definitely definitely scary.
Right.
Yeah, Chengdu have got an opportunity this week to really break into the scary kind of level. They're playing against Gladiators in New York. I could see a world in which they win both of those. I don't think it's likely they win both of those, but I think that they've got a good chance. They'd have to play their best Overwatch to beat the Gladiators, I think, but it's pretty possible. And if they manage to pull off both of them, I mean, we have to start talking about Chengdu as a legit threat for like
big boy team. Yeah,
for like a weird sweep where they just go through make a weird playoff run, because they got so much mad upset potential because they just play. I mean, even now they still play weird stuff because Eamon's so disruptive on the wrecking ball. There's nobody in the league that plays it like him.
All right. I think that wraps up Plat chat.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts from anyone?
True. Any truers in the chat?
All right.
Any free thinkers?
I think that's how we'll end this week's episode based off of Bren asking if there's any trues in the chat. And
by the way, if you think Matt needs a new mic, type a comment in the comment section below.
Yep.
And then maybe Matt will get a new mic.
What mic are you using, Matt?
I'm using a Blue Yeti.
It's a Blue Yeti.
Looks like a fucking butt plug.
Could you put your mouth next to it and talk?
Yeah.
Oh wow, so much louder.
Is that better?
Oh my lord.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I don't know. Is it better? It feels like you're inside my head. I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Yeah, it's like I'm basically doing ASMR now.
Yeah.
What is it? I gotta like.
You got
pretty decent. You can make a career out of that.
Great ASMR.
Yeah.
You gotta do like
Twitch Prime. Thank you for the Twitch Prime.
I think that wraps it up. Before we leave, do we want to talk about Florida Mayhem?
No.